Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rezzy's in the green room. Rezzy, chill for 1 second, please, baby. I'm gonna bring you on in a second. I see you chewing. I'm chewing too, but there's something else I just got to do this. I got to do this. I know. I'm bringing you on 1 second. But first, let me just say good morning to everybody watching. Hi, Pops. Pops is in Atlanta doing his damn thing. And that's the first thing I'm going to want to touch on before we get all up into the politics of what's going on. But before we do that, I just got to do a little this. Gotta get my mix on. I gotta get my mix on because I'm just feeling some kind of way and I need to. Is that all right with you, Rez? Right now. I'm gonna try to keep it mellow today. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna go all housey. I gotta, I'm trying to bring it down because I'm like, ugh.
Do what you want.
I love you, man.
What if it all depended on me to change the world, to change the world? What if my only responsibility was to change the world, change the world? Let me be the one to start a revolution. Let me sing my song to the people of the world. It all begins with one, the power of one. Joining the hundreds of millions of people believing in one, the power of one. Don't hang around, stand up or sit down and believe we can change the world. Together, we can change the world. Together. How love can conquer disease and change the world, change the world. What can I do to make poverty history and change the world, change the world? Let me be the one to start a revolution. Let me sing my song to the people of the world, yeah, to the children of the world. It begins with one, power of one. change now. I believe you and me can make a difference now.
Won't you take me there? I'll go everywhere. Sometimes when I'm all alone, daydreams take me far from home. A place you and I can love. Give me what I'm dreaming of. But I'm alone, thinking about all the places I could go, things we could do. Alone in the world, no one to answer to. Free. Free to be you. Free to be me. Free to love. Free to love. Free to love. I know our love is taboo. I'm not supposed to want you. The world doesn't understand, but I do the best I can. But I'm alone, thinking about all the places I could go, things we could do. Alone in the world, and no one to answer to. Free. Free to be you. Free to be me. Free to love. Free to love. Free to love. Free to be you. Free to be me. Free to love. Free to love. Free to love. If you want me, baby, right now, come on and free my love. Come on, free to love, free to love, free to
Okay, I think I'm ready now.
Boom. Nice, nice, nice. Put us in the mood. The vibe, the vibe, the vibe.
I just had to.
You
know.
Two of my faves.
I just felt that thing right there. I think Am I okay now?
Right there.
Yeah, I think most of it. Yeah, because you know there's
Just
still
I like the
something
shimmy.
in there. You know what I'm saying? But I'm a hold off because I've been wanting to talk to you, man. I miss you. I miss you during the week sometime, like in our little in between days. You know?
Yes, particularly with so much stuff popping on because your unique perspective and you're my personal politics. You help me get through this monstrosity we call the government because you have it all broken down so eloquently, with what's needed. Yeah, because I'd sooner take a match to it all and just toss it behind me like the scene in what's my fave? Me and Angela. What's the name of the movie?
Ian and Angela. Who?
Angela Bassett, Whitney Houston.
Oh, right. Waiting to exhale.
Yeah, thank you. Gosh, I had a brain fart. Waiting to exhale. I'd rather give it a
I know. I feel you. I feel you. Just burn the shit down and reconstruct. Started from the beginning. Started over from scratch.
I
like
feel
a
you. Pound cake.
Where I am right now, Rezi, which is why I had to rock out right there, is I am getting. I don't know if I'm moving forward, elevating, or whatever, but I'm getting to the point that you are. Like, you know what? Fuck this shit. Okay? Burn it down.
You know what? My friend, little brother.
Am I freaking
Anthony Giles, right?
Yes.
He made this, he released his latest project. And on his project, he has a song called Fuck That Job.
Yeah, I heard that.
Which is bananas.
Yeah.
And it's so appropriate and it is taking all the way off. Can I tell you? Because folks are just like, you don't have equality here, you don't have inclusion, you don't have fuck that job.
This is true.
You don't have women's rights, you don't have we don't have co-ed bathrooms, we don't have it. Fuck that job.
True.
We don't get raises on an annual, we don't do fuck that job.
True.
And I believe that is going to be my prediction is it's going to be the next anthem. We need to get him here on the show so we can talk about it.
Oh, let's do it. Let's say good morning to everybody. I think Pops is kind of like giving us the signal that it's time for us to remember that we're just not alone. And of course, we're not alone because we got Pops in the building. We got P Boogie, we got Walt. And we're happy about the whole thing, and we got people we probably can't see. If you are watching on Facebook, particularly on my Facebook page, where I also put it up on my Facebook page, but I cannot see you. If you are following us on the Facebook page, please go to YouTube, WJBR Internet Radio. YouTube, WJBR Internet Radio. So now, speaking of Pops, and I need to do this. Pops, let me just say, first of all, thank you for everything that you do on the show.
Everything.
And for the show and for us as individuals and personally, we love you to pieces.
2 pieces.
One of the things that Pops does, aside from taking care of us two, he takes care of a lot of people, but let that be known. He helps out everybody and he deserves like a freaking award for that. I don't know if if people realize just how good he is of a person. But he's also right now working with the Voices. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Do you know what it's called? But I know that Whitney Houston is being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And as a part of, all of that, we are in some way affiliated vicariously through Pops.
By that you mean he supported, we supported.
Exactly. There you go.
Not only that, she was ours. Whitney
was ours. And she was ours. But you know what's wonderful about social media, just about the whole damn thing, is that the legend lives on.
On and on and on and on.
And when I say that, there are these young men, these twins, a set of twins. They're young, in their teens, late teens, yeah, probably still teenagers, who I guess, people tell them, oh, y'all should hear this music, like dated from before they were born. So remember, we're in 2020 now. So if they're teenagers, they probably wouldn't even know early 2000s music, more or less anything that happened before that, unless they've been hearing it at home and introduced. So
Yeah.
stay with me on this, because I know you hear what your parents play and all this other stuff.
Exactly.
Right? I saw it all. I'm getting to know you, right? So I know what you're talking about. I mean, I knew about Chubby Checker, and he wasn't even around when I wasn't around when he was doing the twist, right?
Had you doing this in your pamper though?
You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying that these young men, there's a set of twins, they're exploring music on their own, and they have a YouTube channel, and people are giving them recommendations. And so what they do is they listen to these things for the first time together on their YouTube station. And so that people can see their reactions as they're listening for the first time.
Okay.
Right? So I'm setting this up because one of the things that I ran across that these two young men listened to for the first time was Whitney Houston singing the national anthem. People had written into them and said, if y'all have never seen Whitney Houston or heard Whitney Houston sing the national anthem, you should check that out. Now, remember, that was in 1991. These boys were probably born in 2005. So unless for some reason they had a reason to research the national anthem or something, or Whitney Houston or something, why would they know about that, right?
True.
I mean, if you think about it logically, right? So I wanted to share with our audience their reaction to Whitney Houston. And this is what I love. And this is one of the things that I hope that we do when young people run across our shows. They not only get to hear music that they might not have heard before, but they get to hear the actual stories from the legends who lived it, who their stories from their mouths.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm so into this, and I love these boys, and I would love to eventually get them on the show, these young men, because I just think it's dope that they even care enough to stop and listen on their own without some grown person sitting them down and say, no, you got to hear this. You know how we do, right? Right. Okay, let's do it.
And we won't stop that.
No, we won't stop that, because you do need to stop. Wait, you ain't never heard of okay. Before
stop what you're doing, because I'm about to ruin the lyrics and the sounds that you're used to.
There you go. So hold up. So I don't know if you saw, I was so excited. I couldn't wait to show it. A little girl, 11 years old, I have been telling her, like, when she comes to the office to be with her mom, and
so sweet.
Right. And she loves me and I love her. She's adorable. And I'm always like, so have you listened to Shaka Khan today? Like, who? What? And I'm like, baby, sit down. Let me. So what she did for my birthday, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, she drew something, which I haven't seen the actual drawing yet. But the wrapping paper is wrapped in
I saw that.
Yeah, I should have actually uploaded that picture.
That's so dope, though. That's so dope.
Yeah, it has "I Feel for You" and the year and all of these Shaka Khan songs and the year that they were written and whatnot. Just crazy. I know Pop's probably correcting me on some stuff. Yes, tonight live on HBO and HBO Max is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Whitney and Biggie are in the class of 2020 tonight. And yes, this is, something we all should watch. And this is something we should all be posting about on social media. This is big. This is our nippy, right? So let's watch the the young men and what happens as they listen to Whitney for the first time singing the national.
This at the Super Bowl. Okay. She donated through the terrorist attack of 9/11. One of the best of all time. The circumstances, that voice. That's good, man. Shout out to Whitney for that. Shout out for her, man, for donating. This was in 1991. I wasn't even born, bro.
You wouldn't even thought.
But she's switching gears like cars, bro.
Literally, she was
like
just
her voice
neutral. Now she
in the third. Well, she in the third. Yeah, she got a manual voice. Like she just can. It could be neutral. It just could be in one gear. She can hop that boy all the way to 3, 5, or 6. Like that's crazy how her range of voice could go like that fast. Like she just singing normal. Next thing you know, that's crazy. Wait, hold up. If y'all don't understand what we saying, bro, if you could just watch how her voice just changed, bro. This is crazy.
Woo!
And Biden,
free, home of the brave, just announced Biden is president-elect, baby. Yes.
Yes.
Finally.
Yes. Yes.
Finally.
Yes.
Oh.
Finally.
Oh.
Finally. And you know what? That was right on cue. That happened just the way it was supposed to happen.
Now get your ass out that seat.
Yeah. So he went golfing today, by the way.
Who did?
You know who.
The Great Pumpkin has been in a perpetual state of golf for the last 4 years. I think we should just go. Anyway.
No, you know what I think? Okay. I was gonna do this a different way.
So Biden's president-elect now?
Yes.
Okay, that's wonderful that Trump is not in office. So that's nice.
Here we go.
284, baby.
284? Okay, cool. So guys, so now we have to prepare for the civil war that's about to ensue. So like just be ready, get mentally ready. And because this is a whole other set of problems, okay? All right. And we still got work to do. More work. All right, bye. Feet to fire, whoever's in office. It doesn't even freaking matter for us. Real talk.
Thank you, background Betty.
Could we have 1 minute of joy? It wasn't even, I'm telling you, it wasn't even a full minute.
Let me tell you something. She's always going to remind us of the work.
I'm sorry. Hey, Jay.
Hi. I'm scared of her. I'm so frightened of your wife. Okay. She is so scary.
Well, what a show this is going to make.
Ooh, baby.
What a show this is going to make.
Baby. You know what? Let's just do the preview. And then when our guests come on, we will play the thing that's been going around all over the place. But let's just play the preview.
Democrats assemble. Are you ready to go?
Person, woman, man, camera, TV.
I am Casey.
I don't even know how that last piece got on there. But
maybe Vanessa Williams work to do.
Oh,
we got work to do. Yes, sir.
So Vanessa Williams's work to do. Well, that's Oh, okay. You want that BPM? Got it. Because that's not Vanessa Williams.
That is Vanessa Williams.
Yeah, but that she didn't originate that.
I just saw her version.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Or whoever, because it was Aretha, right?
No. Okay.
Whoever it was. The one she did. Okay. Oh, actually, you could do the original, but yeah.
The sound of a closing door.
Why don't you just sing it? Why don't you just come and sing it instead of making me look for a song that I didn't have queued up for the show?
How's that?
Since you
how's that?
If you're going, you know what I'm saying? But wait, if you're going to be like directing the show and telling us what we got to do, but you know what?
That's why she's background Betty.
Yeah, she is, and this is the thing, and Pops, you said it plain, and that was where I wanted to go next. But I wish we had our guest earlier. If I had known that people were going to actually do those, but because I wanted to flesh it out with them. But since background, when she says something, I do whatever she says. I don't want her to come back and get mad and be like, "Didn't I say play?"
I've got so much work to do. Work.
I ain't gonna scratch it up or nothing. I ain't touching it. My hands. I'm just gonna play it the way it is, and I'm talking through it.
I'm taking care of business, baby. Can't you see? I gotta make it for you, and I gotta make it for me. Sometimes it seems, boy, I'm neglecting you. Well, I know to spend more time. I got so many things to do. Oh, I got work to do. I got work, baby. I got work to do. I got a job, baby. I got work to do. I got work, baby. I got work to do. Oh, I'm out here trying to make it, baby. Can't you see? It takes a lot of money to make it. Let's talk truthfully. To keep your love light burning, oh, you gotta have a little pain. You might as well get used to me coming home a little late. Oh, I got work to do. I got work, baby. I got work to do. I got a job, baby. I got work to do. I got work, baby. I got work to do. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I got work to do. I got work to do. I got work to do. I got a job, baby. I got work to do. I got work to do.
And a 1 and a 2 and a lesson. I-L-O-V-A-N-E-double-S-A. She's out the Jibbacy. We used to eat together, now it's candlelight TV, but hun, work it until the job's done. Trez is not the one to flip on his zip 001. Blow out, go to your buttons like a Frankfurter. Accepted in more circles than a shot putter. I support ya, I surely sport you till the cross another fader. You're off to work, I can dig it.
Oh, I got work to do. I got work, baby. I got work to do. I got a job to do. I got work to do. I got
As you see, I did not cut it. I did not scratch it. I did not touch it. I did talk a little bit through it in the beginning, but I was
All right. That's all right, Silky.
all
That's all
right.
right.
That's all right.
Ooh, they got work to do.
So can we just okay. I don't know if it's really this, but okay, enough of the shenanigans. Let's address the real elephant in the room. I think
Mhm.
that I know we have a lot of work to do, but can we just take a moment and celebrate Kamala?
Yes.
Can we do that?
We sure can.
The first, now,
Herstory.
Black history. Let's be clear. Let's be clear in this moment that the very first woman elected to the second highest and the second most powerful position in the world is a Black woman. And let me just remind everyone that the last person who received the right to vote in this country was a Black woman.
Come on, somebody.
Because after the civil rights law passed and Black men were able to vote, women then had to get the right to vote. It wasn't until 2 years after white women got their right to vote that Black women got the right to vote.
Amen. Let's start.
Do you see how powerful you are, Black woman? Black girl, stand up.
Can we just note this extra fact? This is, you know how you have the pound cake and sometimes you put the lemon icing on the cake. Look at the effort and where it landed. And I want to take this back to how Stacey Abrams was robbed of her position.
Yes.
Her rightful election that she should have won. I want to take it back to Keisha Bottoms, Mayor Keisha Bottoms.
Yes.
Tremendously disrespected by the governor of the great state of Georgia.
Yes.
Now you are showing up to be a great state, Georgia. Now you're showing up and showing out, because guess where the votes, the deciding factors, the city of brotherly love. Now you are showing up, as such, because prior to, for states that people thought they had locked in the bag, right? They also thought you were complete idiots, Atlanta proper, I say this all the time, Atlanta proper, I've never been so proud of my ATLians as I am now for bringing this home, for deciding that not only is it disrespectful, but you won't have it and stand for it. Doesn't matter what the great state of Georgia will do. Where the votes landed to decide the space is Philadelphia and Atlanta. So we have 3 women from historical HBUs. We have Kamala Harris. We have Stacey Abrams. And let me see, the third person in here that helps scoop the wind. And see, these are all what can I say? Backdoor stories, because the reality is it took women of color to push it through in Alabama, showing up again in the clutch time with Georgia, assembling. See, when we get mad, this is how we have to channel. And I'm not saying get mad like this is what she did, but when things unjustly happen, as opposed to getting angry and getting yourself absolved in the anger, do things like organize your own committees that can lay low, assemble, organize, and then come up with the win 4 years later when you need it in the pocket. That's what Stacey Abrams did. That is what so many other grassroots mobilizers did across the country to make sure. This is the highest voters turnout ever in the United States. The world is watching, and not to be so and sound so US centric, but the world is watching this and concerned about how we land here and concerned about how we clean up this last. So it's as much as I want to celebrate right now, because it's been a long, arduous fight, dragging, it's been an emotional month with a lot of bullshit and more bullshit to come, I'm sure, because this president, if nothing else, he has taught us to brace for the bullshit. They got to clean up this mess he made last 4 years. They got to clean it up and they got to move it forward, and they got to figure out what to do with this coronavirus shit, that he let just run rampant in the country and kill a whole lot of folks. They got to figure it out, and they don't have a whole lot of time. So they got work to do.
No, this is serious. He destroyed so much.
Yeah.
He was like a force of destruction through this country and quite frankly, through the world. He did a lot of dirt. He made us look suspect. I don't talk about, like when they say, sometimes we'll talk about, let's just say like Russia, and I'll say our enemy, right? And you'll stop and you'll thinking in terms of Malcolm X and Cassius. I can't believe I was going to say Cassius Clay, but he was, I think, Cassius Clay at that time. But Ali,
Muhammad
right?
Ali,
when he was like, "Ain't no Viet Cong do nothing to me. Ain't no Viet Cong ever called me a nigga," and I get that 100. My issue, when I think about us as a country,
right.
This is where I live. And when they send bombs over here, bomb ain't gonna say, okay, you black, we ain't gonna blow you up. No. So whatever the politics of the nation is, it's going to impact me. Like, I personally believe that this whole COVID issue is a biochemical warfare, and this dude is allowing us to die, whereas other heads of nations are trying to protect their people, trying to clean it up, trying to get it together. It's like they're just Americans, let them die. Oh, they're black Americans especially dying, let them go. Oh, it's just the poor, it's old people, let them die. And Putin has been controlling Trump, and Trump has been leaning that way. And this guy, Putin, hates America and Americans and what it stands for. And he's not a fan of black people. So when I think of allies, those people who want to partner with America to in war and in policy and blah blah blah, I think of those countries. I know they ain't thinking about me. I ain't really personally thinking about them either. However, their policies, the way they view this country, their willingness to work with us will affect us, and our heads of state. What, like there are some religions that say, well, we don't vote because man's law don't affect me. Honey, if you want that street fixed, you want a stop sign, you want you want your schools right, and you want your kids to have the right books, and you want your taxes to lower, man's law makes a difference, okay? Because that's anyway. what I'm saying is, I forgot what my point was. God damn it. I'm so
That's all right. I love it when you ramble. Go ahead. Did you cover a lot? You cover a lot of ground. Go
I
ahead.
do, because but Rezi, in this P head is all kinds of thoughts and and I may not articulate it all, because just as I'm getting to one point, another point jumps in and says, "Move, bitch, I got something else to say." And it just and I'm like, yeah, that was good too. That's right. I mean that too. So my brain is always busy and very, especially when it comes to, I don't believe that this country has ever been a democracy. Let's be clear about that. But I do believe in the idea of democracy. I believe in what it could be. And even though we were like that little inchworm, not for nothing, Cheryl loves inchworms. I don't get it. But
inchworm. I'm sorry.
Don't be that. I needed that. But just we were headed a little bit, just a little bit, and then this dude picked up the inchworm and said "ill" and flung it back into 1920 something.
Did he?
Okay, 1920 something. We can't have that. No. We cannot have that. No. Of all things. So now we got to clean up all the mess back from 1920. The good thing is that it's so clear to see what he damaged, that where we were, what he damaged.
That's true.
Because everything that Obama did, he shut that down and tried to shut it down. So we could just reflip. Biden, I know, will just reflip those things.
Well, I'm glad to a certain degree. Now, again, there's no perfect politician. Let me say that,
True.
Because I didn't agree with everything that Obama did, but I did agree and still agree with his message about the people and the message about united people and hope to change. And that is enough, because, quite frankly, the idea that for prior to Obama, there were certain populations of folks that were not allowed to participate in the great freedoms that America alleges to have offered. So when you want to have an inclusive policies and inclusive politics, you have to include the people of the United States of America and not just the minds and opinions of the now minority, and I say that, but the real deal is that we knew this was kind of coming, because it was just too much to continue to sweep under the rug and act complicit about when you're walking down the street, when we've been in too many spaces and places where our voices mattered but were silenced, oppressed, or the status quo was allowed to take over and you not feel your rightful self. If nothing else, I believe this has empowered us, and we, the people, have to stand up and continue to not shrink in the process. And what I mean by that shrink is, don't come into any room not being your authentic self. I don't care who you are. Do not come into the room, any room, the boardroom, the classroom, any room, and not participate in the idea of showing up as your authentic self. So that's whether you're straight, gay, gender nonconforming, trans, cis, we all deserve equal respect, equal opportunities, and we all deserve to exist in this beautiful country called America. Because what's clear is we either gonna play nice in the sandbox or we're not.
Exactly.
And not playing nice in the sandbox benefits no one. We all suffer. So we just have to figure out a world where we can all coexist and continue to enhance each other's lives. Because real talk, this land is your land This land is my land, and we have to start acting like that. We have to start
Absolutely.
living like that,
You know what? I want to take a look at a couple of things that Obama did, and because we can assume that these may be some things that Biden might pick up on, right?
He was there with him.
Right. So, but remember, he was also stopped from doing a few things because of the Senate, and he had to use executive power to do a couple of things, and some things you can't do through executive power. Some things have to go through the Senate. So, just a couple of things. Okay, he passed the healthcare reform. We know the Affordable Care Act, but there were some mandates in the Affordable Care Act that he wanted to have that they wouldn't allow. And I can't remember exactly what, but I'm sure Biden will work on those things. He passed the stimulus because we were in a recession. So I feel pretty good about what's his name? Biden. You hear me? What's his name? The new president.
President-elect Biden.
There you go. As far as foreign affairs with Iraq, Afghanistan, it seems like he was on the right side of those things to and he started getting troops home and started getting us away from that, but in a rational, reasonable way. We all know he turned around the auto industry, right?
Birth control.
What do you mean about birth control?
I was just reading something that Misty J posted. Birth control included in the Affordable Health Care Act, because you remember how Planned Parenthood was scrutinized.
Right, yeah, right.
And women's right to choose was scrutinized.
He also repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and helped us to get marriage equality,
right.
As well. Let's see, what else? Oh, the school lunches, nutritional school lunches.
That was Michelle Obama's initiative.
Right, that was Michelle Obama's initiative, and that's also one of the things that Trump repealed. I mean, that's ridiculous. How are you going to repeal educational nutrition in schools for kids, right?
Right. Our long national nightmare is over.
Yeah. He also got the banks out of student loans. So there's going to be some kind of reform, and I know that Kamala has been speaking about historically Black universities giving tons of money that way. And for me, I'm serious. Looking at this country, if anybody wants to start with reparations, you got to start with education. These are a bunch of idiots, man. In America,
well, wait a second. You gotta add this word in that. It's willful ignorance.
Yes, willful ignorance, and there's also our educational system needs to be revamped and tell the truth.
Yeah.
It has to start there.
For sure.
It has to start there, and it's going to take a couple of generations to get it right, because there's going to be, when they start teaching the truth, there's going to be parents who don't want the truth taught to their kids, and they're not going to believe it because they weren't taught the truth. So there's going to be pushback. But the truth, I can't stress this enough. To me, it all starts with education. And as soon as our people are educated, that's when they can start accepting certain realities. Like,
Hopefully. Well, don't assume that education is going to make you accept the reality that in your core you may need a exorcism. Because because we've watched for the last 4 years folks standing in the face of the truth and still saying no. That's a willfulness. The best thing about all of this stuff that has happened, and I think I heard it through a joke first, is that when you hold that map up and you see all the blue and all the red, that has suddenly become people of color's travel guide throughout the United States, because you know where you go and you can be safe in places. But separate from that, it's like, you can have a fact in front of you. I don't think, and I agree with you wholeheartedly about education needing to be, the indoctrination of education needs to be revamped. No question about that. Separate from that, though, there is a willful ignorance that exists, that has existed for a long time, that just people are not willing to address. And it's what's in your core, what's in your spiritual core, because if you have a fact in front of you and you're looking at it and you're not willing to accept it, that's a certain level of mental illness that we can't reach. We don't have a pill for it. No doctor can cure it. There's some things that are missing there fundamentally, and you got to search your soul, America, in terms of what you want to do with yourself. Because right now we got work to do. We got to fix this liberty and justice for all thing.
Exactly. I'm going to start by bringing on Mr. Nathan James right now.
Put him in the middle.
How you doing, Nathan? And Kevin was just here and left. I don't know what happened. And our other guests seem to be having a little bit of a problem. So y'all start talking about this stuff, and I will help our people.
Nathan, our national nightmare is over. What do you say about that, Nathan James?
I say thank God and thank the United States of America for doing the right thing. Oh my goodness! I want to go down to Independence Hall this afternoon and sing the battle cry of freedom. We have finally emerged from what never should have been in the first place, and I'm just so overjoyed that it's finally over.
Now, how do you think this is going to? Now, we still got to January to get our old golfing president up out of here. Now, I've seen a lot of memes and a lot of videos about how he's going to get dragged out. What do you think this is going to amount to now? Now it's the shit show for real. Okay.
The United States Marshals have to drag Trump out of the White House kicking and screaming. I want to be there to sell tickets to that event. Because, I think he's not going to go quietly. I don't think he's going to do a peaceful transition of power, which has been the bedrock of our democracy for 250 years. This is not who Trump is. He's shown us that the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time, and the fifth time. So, we're in for a turbulent 2 months, but it will end with Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. and Kamala Harris becoming the president and vice president of the United States. And that, in the end, is what really matters.
What really matters. And, we have the illustrious Pastor Kevin. And, let's go.
I want y'all to know prayer changes things. You understand that? You understand that? We prayed ourselves in, we prayed ourselves through, we prayed ourselves into peace. And as the good journalist just said, soon and very soon. So we always say, what is it? Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. and Kamala Devi Harris. Amen. Let's go. And I so want this president to put up the fit that we think he's going to, so that the media can record an obstinate, arrogant, entitled little boy kicking and screaming from the White House like he owns it. The name Trump is not stamped on it, and anything that's on paper will be removed as of January 20th. Goodbye, good riddance, and I promise you, I don't see much of a fuss, because the truth is, he says he was going to leave the country, and that's his quiet way of running to some place where he can't be extradited.
Yeah, Pastor Taylor is absolutely right about that. The next thing that Trump has to think about is the prosecutors are going to be coming for him, particularly in the city of New York, where
he can't go back to New York ever.
Another black woman, might I add, our Attorney General is yet another black woman. See, the black women, once again, Stacey Abrams, shout out.
And Tish James is not there for play.
No.
She has been very quietly assembling a case against Trump, and it's not one for which she or anyone else can pardon his way out of it. These things are just going to add up because Trump is finally facing the consequences of his actions for the first time in his adult life, and it's way past time for that.
Mm-hmm. And he don't have a clue. Not a clue. Woo! There she is.
Yay! I made it.
Welcome. I know
something
happened with one of the links, so I apologize for that.
Oh, no need.
Our forever beauty queen.
I just assumed it was me. This whole
no. Wasn't you. Never that.
I'm glad to see everybody.
Great to see you, gorgeous.
And with smiles on our face.
Thank you. So I'm assuming that since I'm a little late arriving to the party, everybody knows the news.
Yes.
And I see some smiles going all around.
Yes.
I'm kind of feeling the same way myself. I'm very excited. I mean, it ain't Barack, don't get me wrong, but
yeah.
So we're all going to remember where we were when we got the news that the country shifted back into a sense of normalcy. But as we were playing a little while ago, we still got work to do. Kamala and Joe got work to do. He left it in a mess. We know that, a complete mess.
Yeah.
So, any thoughts on how he's going to leave office?
So, how he's going to leave office? So here,
in handcuffs.
Hello. Because as you talk, Terez, about the idea that we get to return to some normalcy, that's where the rub begins. Because people talk. I saw a thing yesterday that said we had 4 years of trouble with Trump, and 40 with Biden, because people keep trying to nitpick at all of this stuff. And every time we get to a place or have gotten a place like this in probably the last dozen years, it's been black women to the rescue. I want to see this country and us as a community in particular start opening their mouths consistently. Starting today, about when Joe goes out in 2024 and Kamala moves to president, who's going to be beside them? What's this cabinet going to look like? How are we going to put in place? We were talking about the Attorney General of the state of New York, Stacey Abrams down in Georgia. That we really got to look at shifting the makeup of this country, and we got to shift it in the conversations. The conversations of white women who still 55% voted for a white man, the conversations of black men who abandoned us, the conversation of people who have not put up with what they said they were going to do. There are some people whose cards are going to get a punch hole in them, so we can tell. You might be able to keep your black card, but we're going to be able to see when you put it in the air all loud, we're going to be able to see the hole in it about the time you didn't do what you were supposed to do, the time you thought money privilege was going to get you into spaces beyond your blackness, the time you tried to put your blackness in the back. Because what this has exposed for us as a country is that we are much closer to 1960 than we are to 2060.
Ooh, say that then.
I think I put this comment up. Michael Action says this is not over by a long shot. They're going to the Supreme Court, and just like 2000, the Republicans will be president, and there will be a civil war. No, I don't agree with that, Michael.
I don't think so.
My opinion. I think that he won by a large amount. It's too much to surpass. He was trying to sue before the. Somebody needs to put a headset on because I'm getting feedback. He won. It's over. And Trump is going to try to sue, and he's going to try to pursue, but
well, let me say this about that. In Bush v. Gore in 2000, the Supreme Court was asked to decide the vote count in just one state, Florida. This time around, Trump is trying to challenge the vote count in several states, which is a much, much harder uphill climb, even in a Republican Supreme Court, because now Trump has to show that multiple times in multiple states, the vote count is somehow improper over an extended period of time. This is not at all like Bush v. Gore, so Trump can try, but I don't think he's going to get a lot of headway in the Supreme Court at all.
I agree with Nathan on that. I don't think he's going to get a lot of headway either, but I do think that he's going to try everything he possibly can because that's just his personality. He does not want to admit that he lost. Him and his raggedy children are out there doing and saying thank you, everything they possibly can, you know, and making up crazy stories and telling lies to people. And, you know, it's a shame that the country has to be put through this after 4 years of that craziness. It should be over. I want it to be over. My nerves can't take no more. And I know there's a lot of people out there who feel the same way, but this man is, I just don't feel he's going to let it go.
No. Wanda Tidline, you say what? Welcome.
Welcome. And Wanda,
hello, everybody.
If you have
yes. Yeah. I say yes. Alpha Kappa Alpha, you see it. Kamala Harris.
Yes.
First Black woman, vice president. Yes. I got to big up my sorority. And Vice President Kamala, wow, I'm just in shock. I'm happy. I haven't been on social media, watched the news since election night. My nerves couldn't take it. I'm just, you know, glad this part of it is over. But like Miss Clifford said, this is Donald Trump's MO. He and his family, they're gonna fight and scratch and sue. That's what they do. So, you know. It's just time to move forward without all the chaos and craziness. Just enough already.
Pastor Kevin, you
can't. Fingers up. Now fingers up.
Donald Robespierre Trump ain't gonna do nothing but talk a lot. There won't be a lot of court filings. There won't be a lot of installation of anything. What he will do is what he's been doing, and that is a whole lot of barking and whining to suggest that something is wrong, and then inciting other people into the streets. Mm-hmm. But as it relates to, as Nathan so expertly said, this is in too many states, and if you go to some states, you have to go to all of them, which could put his loss even deeper because there's some things that have actually been suppressed by his side. He's going to quietly leave while screaming along the way. You hear me? Quietly leave while barking and whining and crying and screaming along the way. Just like he talked all that talk about New York. Has he stepped into New York yet? No. Because the second his foot touches New York soil, he's going to jail.
Do not pass go, do not collect $200.
He talks about New York from Florida, but he ain't been to New York.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. This is one of those conversations about somebody who do a whole lot of street from across the street, right? And I remember one time in the projects of Southwest DC, somebody coming for Linda Sims, light skin, long hair, acting like they could fight harder than her. And the girl said to her, "When I see you, I'm gonna whoop you." And she stopped and put her hair up and said, "Here I am, come see me." Yeah. Don't talk about seeing me next week. Don't talk. He's been doing this for 6 months, so that we got a lot of footage of him suggesting something's wrong. The truth is, now journalists across the board. Guess who called this first? Fox.
What?
Fox has been on 264 for 3 days.
Yeah.
Fox?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Ooh, yes,
there's a whole lot of jabberjaw.
That's a lot. Miss Clifford, right? That says a lot. That Fox News.
Yes.
Right.
Well,
they called it. That really says a lot.
He's been very angry with Fox lately because of the coverage and how they're not sharing all his garbage that he's putting out. You know, he's an alligator. You know, that big mouth. No action. Okay. Alligator, you got it. So, yeah, I'm very surprised. Hello. I love the fan. That's
I know. It reminds me of Shaka Khan.
Okay. Unbelievable. That's great.
Man. So if we had to give an immediate plan of action for the new president-elect Biden, I like to say that, and the new vice president-elect Kamala Harris, and then what would your first 5 bullet points be on your agenda? Nathan, you go first.
Okay. Okay. First 5 things on my bullet list for Biden and Harris would be get the COVID virus under control.
Boom.
First and foremost priority. Nothing else can be done until we get COVID-19 under control.
Boom.
Second thing, make a concerted address to the nation and make people understand that this now has to be a time of healing in the United States of America, because we are a deeply traumatized country, and one of the primary responsibilities of a president is to lead, and this would be an example of leadership right out of the gate. Third thing, a comprehensive plan to get the United States of America moving again in terms of COVID relief, in terms of education, which I think, JaVonne, when you were talking about earlier, that's a priority, because think about this. Half the country voted for Trump in spite of everything he's done over the past 4 years, and that tells me that we have a severely undereducated electorate. Number 4, we have to reassure confidence in the United States abroad. In other words, in other countries in the world. We've been the laughing stock of other foreign countries for the last 4 years. Biden has to now show himself a true statesman and restore our diplomatic and international standing in the world. And 5, and I think that this is particularly important to us as a people, Biden has to find a way to undo the damage that Trump has wrought on our country over the past 4 years. And that is going to take more than the next 4 years to accomplish, because not only are we a deeply traumatized nation, we're a deeply wounded nation. And all of that is on Donald John Trump, who cared not about the importance or the responsibilities of his office.
Nice. But you say what? What are your top 5 bullet points?
Well, I have to be honest. Nathan jumped right in on and really shared everything that I wanted to say. I totally agree with all of your points. In fact, you started where I was going to start with, controlling COVID, getting the economy to where people can actually function. But again, like you said, we have to get the health thing squared away. And so, and of course, him coming out and making the speech to bring our country together, bring our people together. I mean, the damage that has been done over the last 4 years, I think at some point, we might say it's insurmountable. But we have to do it as a country. We have to find a way to make things work. And I think he because of his integrity, he will be the one that can lead us in that direction and start to get things rolling. I don't know if I have anything else to add to what Nathan said. I can only back up what your feelings were, because I feel very much the same way. So I'll just pass it on to someone else.
Amen. Well, thank you for that. Wanda T, what you got to say about the first 5 agenda items you would have for Biden and Harris?
Well, I too, like Miss Clifford, I agree with Mr. James, particularly, Donald Trump's calling card was always about the economy. And to me, he confused with how good the stock market was doing compared to the economy. And the stock market is not the economy. That was one of the major bones I had to pick with him. But I don't understand how people couldn't see the connection between the economy, the economic state of the country recuperating without getting the virus under control. It just made so much sense to me. I'm like, until you can get a handle on this thing and have a plan, which he had none, and even as of election night, he still didn't have one. You cannot have the country function and, you know, have the economy on an upswing until we get this thing under control with a plan. So that's the main one, the coronavirus. And for me, traveling outside of this nation as much as I do in this business, we are the laughing stock. I mean, everywhere I went, people could not believe that the United States of America, you know, in quotation marks, the leader of the free world, would elect this guy. I mean, Donald Trump is not a smart person. He's crafty, he's slick, but he's not a good businessman. He's a colossal failure if anybody read a book. You know, he was not self-made. He had all the assistance from his father and still screwed it up. And how people could say that he created this great economy. No, he inherited a fantastic one after Obama resurrected it from the dead, and he took credit for that. That was my only thing, that Democrats didn't champion that enough and say, wait a minute, you know, every time he lied about it, they should have been on it. No, you got a good one. And what you're doing, actually, at the rate you're doing it, is nowhere near what Obama did when he had nothing. So the coronavirus, the economy, foreign policy, you know, our relationships with our allies. I mean, if you read Joe Biden, that was his expertise, was foreign policy. So that, and then, you know, helping people, you know, doing this. I mean, the fact that I think our major issue really is with the Senate and Mitch McConnell. I don't know how one person can have so much power. I mean, if Biden's president and he's still majority leader, who says he won't have all these bills sitting on his desk and not do anything just like he did before? So, you know, that's the major thing I'm worried about. Mitch McConnell and his power, and how Joe, because he's had relationships on the other side of the aisle for all these years, can he, you know, commandeer that good relationship, bring it back so they can, you know, compromise and work together like they did in the past. It won't be this, you know, split down party lines and then have the stalemate and having people suffer because all these rich people in Congress, you know, are angry with each other, you know, using regular people as, you know, collateral damage. Is just, you know, just not right. So that, you know, that's my fear, but my hope is that they'll be compromised and work together on behalf of the country in its entirety, not just one side.
Facts.
Agreed.
Facts. Thank you. And last but not least, fantastic.
So I think we all agree that handling Corona in a structured, medical, scientific, logical way is one. What the point that Wanda made, that I'm glad to meet you, Queen, has everything to do with this chess game of making it seem like a good stock market is a good economy when it is not. And so the economy conversation is almost part of the COVID thing, because what was disgusting to me about this administration was I heard the pleas of the people to help us in the middle of this Corona. Throwing money at it was not the right thing to do. In that it did not help with bills and stuff going crazy anyway. B, it did not ensure that people who got money put that money towards the thing it needed to go toward, because they never had the financial literacy conversation that they need to have. So you gave $2,400 a month to people whose money went everywhere that was open except the landlord's office.
Yeah.
And that is the commentary on the country and our educational system, and the fact that we really, as Nathan talked about, and several people talked about the laughing stock. Wanda talked about that as well. The laughing stock that people got money and still couldn't get themselves up by their own bootstraps. So there's COVID. There's a new economic plan for America and Americans that might include some stuff back in school, like government and like economics, home economics and those kinds of things that really gave us some common sense tools to work with. 3 might be quite unconventional for some, but as vice president, as one of the most beloved presidents of the last 50 years, figure out how to make Barack Hussein Obama an advisor, something. Because at the end of the day, not only is the world laughing at us because we put this fool in, but we did it after that. Yeah. I still, in cabinets behind me, have stacks of newspapers from around the world where the world was like, finally, America lives up to her promise. Finally, this country is what it says it is. And the fact that we went from there is telling on so many levels, in so many ways, on white people, on black people, Latinos who think they're white. I mean, in so many ways. And I just feel like there was a level, and I know it bothered people sometimes because we like to take bats to the street. There is a level of gravitas that the Obamas possess that is something so wholly American that we haven't seen it since Kennedy. To be eloquent and focused and have a perspective that is so much. That's not what you can do for what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. It's so global in its perspective that it shifted the world. So my fourth point has something to do with the Democratic Party figuring out these talking points. As I said last time we were together, people forget that Olivia Pope voted Republican. People forget that messaging of being able to bite down on a bone and stay consistent about it in the Republican Party is a thing that the emotionality of the liberal side of the Democratic Party has yet to master. One person wants to tell we want to tell stories. We want to make you cry. We want to keep telling these various stories, but then you lose the point. You lose the talking point. And I felt like the Dems have often lost the talking point because somebody tells a story, somebody tells another story, then a different story. When the Republicans so clearly say, here's the memo and the word of the day is, and everybody on every show uses that same thing. So it's relentless. And you start to hear it not just from all of them, but all of their voters as well. We just got to figure out a way to make that the messaging consistent. And I feel like finally, if we talked about, I want to see President-elect Biden address the way and address the country in the most, almost non-conventional way possible. I want to see a series of town hall meetings starting now, going everywhere just to try to soothe some of this, because it has told on stuff inside people's families. If you follow some of the social media, I didn't understand why they were after TikTok until I got on TikTok and found out about all 50 of the states having Black Lives Matter marches. I saw them in New Zealand and in Paris, and I saw those on TikTok. I saw it on social media. Then I was like, oh, this is why they're after TikTok. It was almost like world news and report. So just to find a new way, maybe it's on. You know what? I'm thinking about how you could just kind of take, I don't know. I remember a commercial where the father from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air plays a professor in a classroom. It's a Kaplan University commercial. And he starts talking about how education has failed us all. And he's talking to people in a classroom. But then the tape pulls back and there's somebody watching it on the subway, somebody watching it on the couch, somebody watching it in the supermarket. There was something about the way that he came at it. So maybe that is not just on the, not just interrupting the networks, but also, broadcasting live on all of the social media, including Snap and TikTok and all of those ways so that everybody gets to see it and feels engaged in a new way. Because Joe, I've gotten off an Amtrak train at the same time that Vice President Biden was getting on his train, and they stopped the people, and he was very mindful that these people, even for these few minutes, were being inconvenienced, and so he reached in to hug people, he reached in to shake hands, and it was a Thursday, and he was just going home, which means he probably has to do that every single day. He's mindful of the inconvenience, and mindful of people and seeing them. And I just think that he's got that he's got a heart to him that shaped the right way and pushed through the right portals that could really begin to shift this conversation. We got sweet really quickly with Obama. It got ugly really fast with Trump. I think we could go back to something, without malarkey, if he addresses the country the right way.
Right.
I'm sorry. I just want to address the TikTok thing really briefly. The TikTokers, the young TikTokers, had accumulated all these tickets to some rally he wanted to do, and he was expecting millions of people because these young TikTokers had gotten all of these tickets, and nobody showed up. It was only they were expecting thousands.
There were like 1,300 people when he expected 1.7. When he expected like 147,000, because those kids geniusly did that.
And after that, he tried to shut down TikTok. Let's be clear. He's a vengeful, crybaby, petty little man with little hands.
Right. Right. No, and I agree with everything every one of you has said, up to and including his petty little hands. And I'm going to add to that one thing, because you covered everything else. I'm going to add one more thing to that. I would put on their agenda that they have to have a plan to address anti-Black racism in this country. They have to have a plan. That is the oldest pandemic in this country. I believe they need to have a plan of action on how to address and eliminate anti-Black racism in this country, period. So everything else you said, plus that. You know,
and Rez, I agree with you so wholeheartedly. And I think that, you know, the next time we come together, I'm going to have a t-shirt that says "Fear of a Black Woman," because that's why they were afraid of Kamala Harris, because she's an attorney. And they want her to get on and give a very democratic race speech. And what she's going to do is change laws so that you can't be pulling Black men over, accost them, and then arrest them for resisting arrest, when resisting arrest can't be the reason you arrest somebody. When you go after drug laws, when Skip is making $2.5 million while he's at college, and Khalid is going to jail for selling 2 ounces. Yes. This kind of the disparities in the law are going to be the things that she goes through with a fine-tooth comb as an attorney general, and an attorney general of the biggest state in the country, and a Black woman from an HBCU. Yeah. She's going to dismantle anti-Black racism from inside the house, because we keep talking about the way we want it to look, and it's the way it impacts us.
Right.
For Khalid Browder, who sat in jail for 3 months for a backpack that he never touched, and then killed himself. It's those things that I think that she can go at in ways that we don't even think of.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Walt, I'm sorry, Mr. Clifford.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that Walt says that this panel needs to be on Biden's administration. I agree, Walt. They need a DJ, and I'm all with it. I'm for it. What were you going to say, Miss Clifford?
No, actually, I was going to agree with everything that Kevin was saying, Pastor Kevin was saying, because it's so obvious, certainly to all of us, that that's something that needs to be handled, and agreed also with the fact that Terez, I see you, girl, that Kamala is going to start changing things from the inside, which is what we really need. And yeah, I see you. But basically, I was just going to agree with what was being said, and I didn't mean to cut you off. But this panel, Walt, by the way, I agree with him. This would be a lovely panel to be in the administration.
I agree. I agree. I think some things, Rez, are just so obvious that it's not stated, and I'm glad that you state the obvious.
Yeah.
Because yes, they do need to address racial disparity. They need to address racial disparity on so many levels. The educational, I keep going back there. You would think I was a damn teacher, right? As much as I talk about education, but I believe in it. I believe that everything starts with what you know, what you believe, what you think, and how you move. Mm-hmm. And all of that has to do with your education.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you said what you know, because now what we know, we can't go back to not knowing.
Right. You can't unsee this.
You can't go back to not knowing. We cannot go back to not knowing how close this race was. We cannot go back to not knowing that the people that drove down the street that tried to run the bus off the road. We cannot go back to not knowing any of that stuff. So what are we going to do to address it? What are we going to put in place to ensure it does not continue to be the menace and the Achilles heel of this country? What are we going to finally do to make reparations of some sort for all of the blood, sweat, and tears our ancestors did in making this country free of charge? What are we going to do about that? We have to settle on something. We can't keep having that pushed to the back burner. It has to be some laws created for all the ways that we get responded to in these streets and in the boardroom. That is over. So I want to see like some legitimate plans. I think we all need to localize about, what we want to see happen. We need to start again, like you always say, JaVonne, we always start with our local politicians and work our way up because they carry the messages. They carry the messages.
I know. I want to have the mayor of my little town back on and ask him about reparations in his county. Damn it! I know, poor guy.
But Jay Strong, that's what we have to talk about, because just like Rez is talking about, when we talk about what we knowing now, what we know and what we don't know, we got to have conversations so that we listen to Killer Mike when he talks about us not having any, not using our financial power, and opening our mouths and say, I'm putting $250 into Greenwood. And if all of us put $250 into Greenwood, we'd have billions.
Mm-hmm.
To then be able to do business loans, to then be able to do housing loans, to then be able to do some planning. Just because, we have to have the people, the old heads like myself, take Ice Cube in a room and slap him around twice for getting that close to Trump, and then say, but brother, your contract with Black America had 22 pages of serious points to it, so I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Ice Cube is not Kanye, it's not Lil Wayne. He was basically saying, I'm trying to just make the plan, and then stupidly, I don't know, maybe his polls told him go this way, but I read the 22-page plan, and it is solid, and it's got solid points. And Joe said, I will, put several of these into place and begin the conversations when I get in office. He said that before he knew what was happening. And so we just got to be, and you talk about local. The local then becomes the points of conversation that we have to have with our own people, so that we have the uncomfortable conversations with people who tossed away their stimulus money, the people who take their tax refund money and treat it like it's extra money instead of putting it away to cover rent for the next 3 months because it could. We have to be able to have these conversations with our folks about some of our spending habits and some of our living habits, because we floss bigger and brighter than anybody on the planet. And African America is a $1.7 trillion economy. We are the economy of several countries.
Projected economy, which means, and I say this all the time, projected economy, which means that before we even spend it, they count on us for doing it. And the reality is, it controls the economy in this country. We support some of these corporations that continue to oppress our communities. We support these corporations that continue to support these politicians that don't have our best interests. And when we line up Black Friday and every other holiday where they drop the prices of things to get us out, when we line up around the corner and some of these corporations that do not give back to our communities,
say it, Terez.
We help bury ourselves. We
say it. Black
Friday
Friday isn't just the day we get them in the black. One day that gets them in the black for the whole year. It is because they know the black folk gonna get to the front of the line, but TVs we don't even need.
Exactly.
On Black Friday, let me tell you, on Black Friday, they have TVs in the middle of the aisle in supermarkets. They so know that they can rely on our monies. People buy 75-inch TVs at the ShopRite. Why? Because they know we up and out and got hot money in our hands. And because we don't have conversations about the stock market and about investment, money burns holes in our hands. Christmas bonus, Thanksgiving bonus. Ooh, I got extra money. It's not extra money. It's your future money you spending today.
Right,
exactly.
Right. And all of that you said, and Terez and Kevin, that all goes back to one, in my eyes, to one folder, and that's education. And the education has to be there for people to understand all of those things that you mentioned. And how do we handle that? How do we fix that? That's what we've got to do. And my other question to you is, and that you brought up earlier, Terez, all these groups that showed themselves in the last 4 years. Okay, and not just the KKK, but the Proud Boys and the all these
and the Karens.
And the Karens, oh my God.
And the Karens.
Everybody that came out from under that rock. How do we address that? How do we fix that? That's what we have to concentrate on, because I just, at this point, I'm the oldest one in the room, and I've seen some things that nobody should see. And I've experienced some things that nobody should ever have to experience. And that needs to be addressed, because in this day and age, I swore that my children and my grandchildren would never have to deal with this shit. But here we are.
But here we are.
Still in 2020. Why? That's, how do we fix it?
Right. I think that's a great starting point, Ms. Clifford. How do we fix it?
Sorry.
You know? I believe for all that you've seen, in your lifetime, and we need voices like yours that keep us in line with what you've seen that we haven't seen and that we have seen. We definitely need everybody from our seniors to our babies in this conversation, because the world is watching and the world needs to cleanse itself. How we do it, I'm sure there are a litany of ways, but the idea that we do it is on the table. We can't afford to be complicit about it. We can't. We just can't.
No, we can't. It's got to be overturned. It's got to be fixed. It's got to be. We have to make this a country and a world for everybody. I mean, we're all in this.
Mm-hmm.
We all have to live and function in this. So it's got to be the best way for everyone to be able to survive.
Right.
So
right.
Miss Clifford, I know this is, this has got to be a crazy time for you, and like you said, you've experienced so much, and you're one of our beloved treasures for the African American community. You just are. We love you.
Thank you so much.
But I don't know that people know one of those horrible experiences that you had, and that you personally were visited by the KKK. And if you could just put a little truth to light for that, so that people understand, because there are some Black people that voted for the administration who is supported by the KKK. And I just think that you ought to talk about what that experience was like for you.
Well, okay. I will share that, one of those stories with you. Basically, we're talking about a time, this was actually 60s, late 60s, and at a time where people were a lot more open with their racism, and especially in certain areas of the country. And instead of being in Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi, I was in Florida, when the Ku Klux Klan showed up at my house and burned it to the ground.
Jesus.
Okay. So, and working very close to my home, singing, that was, my job. I would 6 nights a week singing with a little trio. And I guess, in fact, at the time, what is his name, was running for the presidency, George Wallace. And they would come in to where I was working with their stickers and their, sing George Wallace's theme song. They kept just saying things to irritate me. And unfortunately for them, when I first went to this particular area and started working, I never saw any Black people. And I kept saying, where are all the Black people? There must be some. And then finally, the bartender said to me, if you want that, you have to go across the tracks. And so I said, okay, well, I figured out how to go across the tracks, and I went door to door, knocking on people's doors, total strangers, introducing myself and telling them where I was singing, and please come and hear me sing. Well, they showed up. they came out, and the Klan did not like the fact that there were Black people in their club. And so, I got the wrath of it. And, now I can talk about it and it's done. But at the time, I had to run for my life to get out of there. I had to literally run for my life. And, for the young people today, I know a lot of young people are like, that wouldn't happen to me. But let me tell you something, just so you know. I am from the ghetto. I grew up in Bedford-Stuyvesant in Brooklyn, New York. I didn't take nothing from nobody, ever. When they show up and then you look out your window and them crosses are burning on your lawn, and they come down the streets in them hoods and the crosses like those boys did for Trump. We shall not be replaced.
Come on.
Is that what they were saying? It changes your whole thing. Yeah, you might be able to handle 1 or 2, maybe even 3 if you're really good. But you can't handle 20 or 30. And that's what I was faced with. And here, and also the fact that I was there alone. Okay. So, I had just turned 21 dealing with that. That's not for anybody. You should never have to deal with that. But that's just one story. So anyway, go ahead. Y'all go ahead. Talk amongst yourselves.
So I need to run because I've got a leadership Newark.
Kevin, we can't hear you.
Oh, wait, you can't? My mic is on.
Are you on?
We got you.
You got me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I've got a 1 o'clock leadership Newark panel to do, and this is how we begin to change it, because America's told us that they don't want us here as if we're not doing slave work. If we build our own, they try to burn it down. When we buy our own, they try to burn it down. So what we got to do is have the conversation inside the house, because while Miss Clifford tells that very impassioned and passionate story, there are people who still think white people's water is wetter. There are people who still won't put their money in a black bank. There's still people who buy red bottom shoes because their clothes are better, that everything is better. And until we have real conversations that change our minds about ourselves, until we unpack all the hidden figures and really get us to remember, because there's some stuff in our history from the stoplight to blood plasma that we forget that we did. And so we keep trying to not believe in us until we're the hot thing or doing the new thing, and we've done everything. And until we put out that list that reminds us that we've done everything and do it every month so that we see the pride and the purpose of us on this planet and why they fear us so much, we're going to always be swimming upstream. So I thank Queen Linda for reminding us of all that we and our grandparents have endured. But I want to remind us, as Iyanla told Oprah once, we're not here because of anything we did. Our grandparents did this. Our work is for our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. We are riding on the coattails of our parents and grandparents' audacity. God bless them. I'm ready to see what my great-grandbaby is going to do. I'm ready to see when I can put the whole gauntlet down and somebody else picks up the bloodstained banner. So thank you all. If we're going to do this, let's do this every week until we get to June 20th, because I promise you, after people being so fatigued by waiting a few days, they're not going to want to talk about this. And that's what they're going to hope for. They're going to try to put on some dazzling end-of-year specials so that we're not talking about the transformation that we're expecting. And I'm going to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk until Wanda's on a finance panel with the Senate, until Terez is in media relations, and until Jay Strong is the DJ, until Nathan's standing in front of the Supreme Court. We haven't done all the work.
Amen.
I want a network where we're the anchors, where we're talking about this every day. We've got social media, and now we can do it every day. And if we don't do it every day, it's because we get tired of talking about it ourselves. And I don't know about y'all, but I don't feel no ways tired.
No ways tired.
I love y'all to pieces in all your parts. Keep talking, keep talking. I've shared it everywhere.
Pastor Kevin E. Taylor, thank you.
Thank you.
Audacity.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank y'all. I love you to pieces. See you soon.
Yeah.
See you soon.
And see, that's what I was talking about, and that's what I'm always talking about in terms of education. Wanda, I think your headset, it's echoing. If you don't have a set of headphones, you're listening to it out, and it's coming back. But
okay, I'll put on some headsets.
Yeah, when we talk about education, what I'm talking about specifically are those things exactly that the Reverend talked about, that Pastor talked about the blood plasma, about the stoplight, about all of the many inventions and contributions that we've made to the society. Because one of the things that they love to talk about is that we haven't contributed to. What have we done? Oh, you did that because you know your people were enslaved. And again, speaking of the word enslaved, I'm very clear that I do not accept language that says that my ancestors or your ancestors were slaves. In fact, they were enslaved. That's what happened to them. That's not who they were. It's different.
Right.
And the way you articulate, your circumstance does not define who you are. And that was a circumstance that they were in at the time, because these evil, wicked people. See, it takes the onus off of the enslaved and puts the negative on the enslaver.
Yes.
Your ancestors were evil and entrapped, peaceful, spiritual, hardworking, intelligent people. Your ancestors enslaved people, trapped them, kidnapped them, forced them into manual labor, beat them down, stole from them. They were robbers. They were just the worst of all types of human beings. And my ancestors, true, they were enslaved by these wretched people, and they survived, and they created, and they were spiritual, and they struggled, but they rose up, and here I stand today. I'm proud of my ancestors. You take that word,
amen,
and we have to watch how we talk about and how we teach. And this generation, this new generation of powerful young Black people, oh my God, they took over the streets. They took over the polls.
Globally.
They took over the internet. What you got, what you want. And they are empowered. And we have to give them the language. We have to instill that. Because language is power. Nothing exists until you give it a name. Nothing exists until you give it a name.
Amen.
If you can't name it, then it's not there. And maybe it is there, but we're not recognizing it because we haven't named it yet. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
There's so much power in words. One of the reasons why I love the, incomparable Kevin E. Taylor, because he's a wordsmith. And there's just so much that our people have contributed. And there's so much more that we don't know. And why don't we know? We weren't taught. We weren't told.
Our history was erased.
Yes. And that's the reparation. That's the beginning of the reparation that I want to see. Educate, uplift, and everything else will fall into place. Because if you believe in a lie, then you live a lie. You don't know how powerful you are until you realize how powerful you are. And you've always been, and your people have always been.
And that's our job, to continue to make sure that we celebrate the contributions, not just in February, because quite frankly, our history was longer than February. You know it. You know it. Our history was longer than February. And you know what? I think it's a great idea if we continue to post and use our social media platforms to remind ourselves of the kings and queens and our legacy, because we got pyramids standing to attest to that. We have a Sphinx standing to attest to that. We have quite a few things standing to attest to how strong and powerful that we are. Things in this society, period, that we would not function unless we had not for the contributions of African Americans in this country. So Black people, we know that at the end of the day, we are absolutely fighting for our lives and our existence and our continued thriving, but we're doing it for our children. We're doing it for our children's children. We're doing it to make this land what we know it could be. And unfortunately, we've had a disadvantage for being under the ruling of people with mental health issues for a long time in this country. Now it is showing up because it is ABC. You got a serious ABC guy that has been sitting in that office for the last 4 years. And we've had quite a few ABC guys come through there, truth be told, like a scattered few that made sense, Kennedy, that you referenced, but nobody else, real talk, nobody else. We've had a few, anyway, the list can go on. I'm not even going to continue to speak on what we already know about what we know, but we really need to, at this point, get together, unity. They fear us in numbers because we have never, ever failed when we are organized. Do you realize that? And that doesn't mean agree with everybody. That doesn't mean we even have to like everybody. But organized, that is where we are most feared. That was one of the first referendums, if you will, before they started calling them that they used to separate us and keep us separated to get us to be able to work right for them on their fields. So at the end of the day, the same formula they tried to work so hard that worked for centuries and centuries, we need to break that up.
Exactly.
Get organized, get focused, and come back and make sure that we got our babies covered and our communities covered and make sure that, we're safe. But again, until they do right by African Americans,
ain't nothing they do. Everything they do gonna fail. I want to give Nathan a last word because I know he has to go. He's going to be on another radio program. So Nathan, what's your last word for today?
My last word for today is look forward to the future, be mindful of the past. As we move forward into a new administration, I think that it's incumbent on every one of us to start to heal and to keep in mind all the things that have been said right here on this show about how communities of color need to move forward too and walk from the darkness out into the light. I want to thank each and every one of you for having me on the show. We're going to look forward to our bright and joyful future, and I wish everybody a happy, healthy, and safe weekend.
Thank
you. And thank you for your always yes. I appreciate you, man. And I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Go get him in Philly.
That's it.
Yeah.
So it is the 1 o'clock hour. So we haven't heard much from you, Wanda. Can you hear?
Well, I can hear. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. I'm just sitting here listening to everyone's opinions. We've had, people of different generational perspectives. I admire Miss Clifford so much for many reasons, but to hear her perspective, from being a young person to coming to the present with children and grandchildren. So I always like to take a historical perspective. One, because I think Americans, in terms of history and how government works, I think we are lacking in that, especially in the newer generations. I took pride in knowing what happened before me and what was happening in my generation and now, because again, if we don't know what happened in the past with history, we're going to repeat it. And we do. Education in America has become dumbed down. We've been so preoccupied, especially with social media and media in general, about chasing the dollar, being seen and being famous and being rich. And, when I go into my mentorship program at the school, that's all I hear kids talking about: celebrity and being a rapper or personality or an influencer. And, them being so preoccupied with that, video game, things that are that don't have a lot of substance, especially, you know, as you go older and become into your adulthood and living in the real world, those things really don't matter. And I think something's lost in educating our young people. And then too, a lot of older people surprisingly fall into that, clearly because of all the people that voted for this man. Facts are not getting in.
Yeah.
I mean, the people know the facts, misinformation, and, you know, just education is just missing. It's like, what people living in? So sit back and try to, you know, understand and see how can we move forward educating people. And they're facts that you don't like, it doesn't mean it's not real. It's just, how do you deal with something that you might be not satisfied with? You know, we need to speak to those people and figure out, okay, if this is not something you agree with, what is it do you want? How do you see it? And then we have to move forward collectively, because it can't go on like this. You know, this country will not survive being so divided.
Correct.
It just won't. So hopefully we can heal. And try to have an understanding for the other side. And then, you know, facts matter. You know, it's no, I hate the fact that this alternative facts thing was, you know, that was coined by them. There's nothing as an alternative fact. It's either true or not true. It's no alternative to the truth.
Right.
And people believe in this alternative facts, fake news thing. That's not a real thing. It's, you know, just because you don't like it doesn't make it fake. And somehow a person like Donald Trump, to me, these four women on this podcast, I think we're more qualified to run the country than this man. He nor his wife even knew the Pledge of Allegiance. To me, I find that offensive. And made fun of it. And people gave him a pass. But like, you're the leader of this country. That's the least you should know. And you can't fudge it off and, you know, liberals or Democrats are being petty. And I had to somebody on Twitter, I said, knowing the Pledge of Allegiance is not a liberal or conservative thing. It's not a Republican or Democratic thing. I said, it's the Pledge of Allegiance of the United States of America. And you can't fob that as nothing or being petty, because if Obama or Clinton or any other Democrat, you would be apoplectic. Look how you were when this man wore a tan suit and his wife wore a sleeveless dress. That's all you had. And you're going to tell me that's nothing, not to know the Pledge of nothing? I said, no, that's what the problem is. The smallest thing. You just, you know, gave this man a pass on. And then as things got bigger and bigger and bigger, everything was a pass. And it can't be that way. The leader of the country should be held to the highest standard, not the lowest.
Facts.
And you know, that's my thing.
I
agree.
And you know, Wanda, one of the other things that you touched on a second ago, the fact that this man came into office, it seems, with the idea of starting some type of civil war, starting some type of unrest. He wanted to divide the nation, which he did very successfully. You know, bringing hatred and viciousness to the forefront, and with all of his rhetoric and
yes, ma'am.
Again, his whole family. You know, so it was just a continuation. 4 years.
His family and then all of his cohorts in the Republican Party, they aided him. And we should not forget that. Once they saw that it caught on with the base, they helped it along. They didn't come up and they didn't say anything against it. They didn't really say anything for it, but their actions showed complicit and they were with it.
Yes.
When you don't say anything, that means you agree.
Yes.
That's right.
This is why I believe that this is all a part of the Russian agenda. I'm sorry. He's been kowtowing to them too much. They have hated America forever.
Yep.
Their whole thing has been, and Miss Clifford, I know that you recall the America versus Russian thing. I personally, I don't personally, but if you know the history of this country and what it has been with Russia and with Putin and who he is, KGB and all that stuff.
Yes.
The whole desire has been to tear this country apart from the inside.
Right.
His
And
mission,
he is the one.
yes, and and the Republicans have been getting money, have been getting rich through Russia via the NRA. It's all been for 4 years. I feel like I went to the University of just history, American history, and politics over these last 4 years. I feel like and with Biden and Kamala, I feel like I finally got a certificate, not even a degree, because I can't even recite all the crap that has been going on for the past 4 years. As an American citizen, I am livid. I am livid at the Republican Party because I've never really been that much into politics and never really cared, but I had no choice but to get involved because I'm living this crap. And it puts us all in danger, in peril.
Well, good.
In physical freaking danger. And I said freaking instead of the other word because I respect.
But with him, but because of money, everything with Donald Trump is transactional. Everything is about money. Just like he said about the doctors and the nurses, they get extra money if they say people die from COVID. That's insane and ridiculous. But I read his niece's book, and even just watching him or us living in New York all the time, we had to watch Donald Trump. Everything is qualified and quantified with money. That's crazy. That's his entire philosophy. He was taught that from his father. If you read the book, win by any means necessary, lie, cheat, and the end result always is money. Whoever has the most money wins. That's the mentality of the family. It's insane. This is what he was taught. And all of his life, what is he, 74 years old, 73, 74 years old? For somebody like him, you can't all of a sudden say that this is the right thing to do when your whole life you've been allowed to do whatever you want. There's no comeback. There's no repercussions. There's nothing. Everything you do is okay. This is a man who has the evangelical community laws this man. A man who said, I never had to ask for God's forgiveness. I never had to ask for God's forgiveness for anything. How can you say that you're a Christian and support this man? We sin all day long. As a believer, I know that. I know I am weak. I am human. I ask God all the time, God, forgive me. I know I sin. How do you support a man who said, I never had to ask God's forgiveness for anything? Are you kidding me? Really?
I sin all the time.
We all do. But if you're a believer, you can admit that. But again, somebody who has been trained to say that, nothing matters but money, and that's the only thing. How do you unlearn that? And that's why he quantifies everything with money and power, because that's all he knows. And everybody is sacrificial for money in his book. Even the people who are going to his rallies, who were stranded, left out in the cold because he didn't care about that. And the fact that they don't see it, that's the thing that's bewildering to me. He left you out there because he doesn't care. He'll use any instrument. Who do you think he owes all that money to? You're going to tell me for all of us, the regular human being, any money coming to you, there is proof of it with a wire transfer. You're going to tell me they don't know who he owes this money to? Of course they do.
Sure.
Of course they know.
Kamala.
But
Kamala. That's all I got to say about that. Have y'all watched
But the sad thing is, JaVonne.
Say what?
Oh, yeah. But the sad thing about it is, JaVonne, that the fact that it'll take Kamala, who is this great lawyer, to have this come out when they've known it the entire time. Anybody having that kind of debt, how are you vetted to run for the highest office in the United States of America if you don't know who this person owes $500 million to? No way he should have passed from the very beginning. And you still because again, so that's what I'm saying. The allowances for this man, the things that he was allowed, all these cases with women against you, and you're still allowed to run, and you take the highest office in the land. No way, if that was Barack, would he be any person of color wouldn't have been allowed to run. So
this is why
I'm saying to get to
qualifications to become the president has to change.
And not to mention, man, you go get a job to be a cashier, you get a background check.
Hello.
So,
yes, of course you do.
At the end of the day, and that's why I said this is such a.
So they wanted it. They allowed it.
Of course they did. It's such a dog and pony show to the idea that this man could ever even be considered. The fact that they ran him, to do it,
right,
only meant that they just, and that was more of a blow to women because of Hillary being there. And I'm not saying, again, like I know there is no such thing as a perfect politician, but at the end of the day, they much rather see a robbing, cheating, lying scoundrel in office than a woman. So today, you not only got a woman, but you got a woman, a black woman, a woman of color from a historically black college as your new vice president-elect of the United States. Love it or leave it, is there.
Yes.
And she understands. What I know for sure is that she understands the plight of people of color in this country. We're going to hold her and Joe Biden in our prayers, in our collective prayers, and help them push things through. And this again starts with your local levels on up. We need our voices heard. And they also need to know we're watching for 4 years. We're watching how people respond, react, and we're going to say something when something happens. What we couldn't do for Barack Obama in places to help him move his presidency along, we need to be able to understand that and do for these two, so that we can start creating a legacy and help groom the next candidate.
Yes.
And give them another 4 after this.
Yeah, it's no holds barred now. No more, Go ahead, Ms. Clifford. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. How do we do that with the Senate and what happened in this last week? How do we do that? How do we overcome the Senate? Now, if they backed him for 4 years, and that's basically what they did by saying nothing.
Yeah.
They backed him and all his craziness. How are we going to overcome this group that just really got reelected and stuck back in there? What do we have, 2 seats in the Senate?
Yeah, so
right. And Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell and Susan Collins are still there. That's insane to me.
It is insane.
What are you people seeing?
So there are they have 2 years with their Senate seats, right?
Yeah.
It's up every 2 years.
No.
Wait, say it again.
Or what is it? Isn't it 7? Isn't it 5? Something like that. I think the Senate is longer than that. The House may be every 2 years, but I think the Senate might be longer.
But there are some
between elections.
There are some senators whose time is coming up next year. We have to figure out who those people are, and we need to hold them to task.
Right.
We have to become more involved as a people in this political process. We have to keep our foot on the gas. Again, I feel so upset with myself that I wasn't really politically woke, let's just say, during Barack's tenure in office. And I didn't fight. We weren't fighting to ensure that he had a Democratic Senate that would support him in what he was trying to do. I can't blame him for what he didn't do because I didn't set it up so that he could get it done.
Right, he wasn't allowed. And people didn't understand the importance of the city. I mean, I live in Washington, D.C. now, so we don't have one, which we should, because we have almost 1 million people here. We have more people in D.C. than they have in North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, but we don't representation. I mean, I guess maybe when the city turns Republican, then they'll make it a state.
So right now,
exactly, we don't.
The Senate race, the race to the 51 majority is still them up by 2 points in this, from 46 to 48. So we still have to get to 51, and we still have a lot of states that are still casting votes right now for where we are with the Senate race.
I really thought we had Maine. I really thought we did. Susan Collins. I'm like, people of Maine, what are you thinking? Susan Collins with her wishy-washy. It's like, really? Yeah, I thought they were more progressive in New England, but I guess, that blew my mind. Kentucky, I'm not shocked.
Yeah. And in the House of Representatives, we
Right.
are up. We are at 214, and the Republican Party is at 190.
Yeah, but we lost a couple of seats in the House.
We did. We lost a couple of seats, but we're still up by 215.
Yeah.
The majority for that win is 218.
Right,
So
but we need to make sure that we don't lose any more and that we make gains going forward. Miss Clifford, looks like you've been trying to say something.
Well, I just wanted to emphasize how important it is when we go in that voting booth, not just to look at the top two lines. You know, when you're voting,
Yes, ma'am.
and you're voting, and then you're voting for senators and all this other stuff that's on that ballot, you have to read. You have to read and understand who you're voting for. And if you're leaving it blank, then you're just saying, well, I don't care. I don't care what that judge decides. I don't care. Is he going to throw her in jail? It's like you've got to educate yourself. And again, back to education on what is happening in that booth when you go in there.
Right.
It's not just about those top two lines, and people need to realize that and really study on it, because eventually it comes down to Susan Collins and people.
Yes.
Right. And as Pop just
and knowing the difference between socialism and communism, that they're not the same things, and that socialism is not a bad word.
Exactly.
You know, learn the differences. Back to education again, knowing the differences. You know, with Republicans, they're good at messaging to say something is wrong. Like when people didn't know that the Affordable Care Act was Obamacare, and they asked them about Obamacare and they railed against it. But then when you ask them about the Affordable Care Act, oh, it's great. And then people are like, well, you know, those are both the same things. They're good at poisoning things. They're good with people being uneducated and poisoning.
Right.
And the same thing with Medicare.
Yeah.
Take your hands off my Medicare.
Yeah.
If that's not a socialist program, I don't know what is.
Exactly. But I know
it is. But they make them think that it's wrong, but it's not.
They need to stop talking about my Social Security that I've been putting money in since I was 13 years old, and that I need. Look, stop! Don't even talk about it. Right. Don't even talk about it. Just when I hit the age for it, cut my mother, father, sister, brother check.
That's right.
But the thing about it is, it affects Republicans too, and that's the thing. They have this. I don't know what it is.
It's
about
education.
They education. They somehow make them think that, okay, wait a minute, it's not just going to affect Democrats, it's going to affect you too. They talk about monies, giving money for the people who needed that extra money. Unemployment insurance is insurance. You pay for it. This is not Mitchell's money to give out or Graham to give out. It's your money. This is you're getting back just in case, just like if you have an accident. You pay into it, and then when you need it, get it back. And these people think you're voting against your own interests. It's not that thing. It's not to give you. It's your money. But they're good at recreating a whole new message. And when Lindsey Graham said, "Over my will I extend these benefits?" It's not your benefits to extend. They are mine. That's why I pay. And that's the thing that drives me crazy. I'm like, you people are voting. This is not a favor they're doing for you. It's your money. It's your tax dollars. It's yours. You need it now.
Wanda,
and people need to, this message.
You know what is theirs? Lindsey Graham and all the rest of them. All those benefits that they continue to collect even after they're out of office. Everything that we are paying for. We are paying for it.
For that, for life. And Ms. Clifford, what is it? If that's not socialism, what is it? That their health care is free from our tax dollars.
On down.
That's our tax dollars. That's socialism.
Yeah, and it pisses me off because I really like somebody to help me understand this point, because I understand all the presidents get the security details for life, you know, afterwards. But because we've seen so many of Trump's family members and they have security details assigned to them, are we paying for that too?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Yes, we're paying for it. His adult children. See, everybody else who had children in the White House, they were minors. That's why they needed it. President Carter, Amy had it, but his adult children didn't. They didn't have it. They didn't have it as adult. You never even knew he had adult kids. The only child you knew about was Amy because she was a minor. But they had grown kids back then. Now all of his grown kids over 30, we're paying for them to fly around everywhere. And then that burns me. And then they're talking about how Jared Kushner, when he said, oh, well, this is the United States money. But I'm like, dude, who do you think the federal government is for? You're saying you're not going to give help to these states because, what is it, a stockpile for the United States? We are the United States. I'm like, you moron, go read a book. That's what the federal government is there for. When the state governments fall short, taxes, we pay state taxes. If you lived in New York City or DC, you pay a city tax. That's what it's for, to help the populace when you need help. Our money that we've paid. Don't you get the connection? But if you're rich and you've been given everything, you don't know how it works.
Exactly.
I don't know.
So,
Again,
Wanda,
education.
Wanda, there's a book called Pedagogy of the Oppressed, which translates to Education of the Oppressed. I think you would love that book. Because and then
writing it down.
I needed a dictionary to read it because I didn't even know what pedagogy meant, but I learned some things, and it's an excellent book. Okay. And I read it when I was in undergrad years ago, and I've never forgotten it. This means the education of the oppressed. We're gonna wrap this up because we're already 25 minutes after the hour, and I just want to thank everybody, and I want to thank everybody who voted.
Yes.
Especially, give yourself a pat on the back. Give yourself kudos.
Yay.
Yes.
Can I say something real quick before Mrs. Clifford leaves?
Yes. Please do.
Miss Clifford, oh my goodness, I love you so much. And I was telling JaVonne yesterday, I went skating because I'm an avid roller skater. I had on my playlist. We were jamming in the rink to Red Light. Oh my God. Amongst all the other things but please, it just took, every time it takes me back to a time in my life when I had no worries, and I can't believe that's been 40 years ago, but thank you anyway for what you've given us all these years. You helped me get through college with your music, graduate school, just to lift me up when I needed that. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
yes.
Wanda. That's so sweet. Thank you.
And thank you for starting it, Wanda. Miss Clifford, I can't say enough about the fact that you even hang out with us to share and break bread with us, in this environment, Brunch in the Basement with JaVonne Terez. I appreciate you so much. Your perspective is just it's so refreshing, because I think that, part of what I miss most is the sense of community that when we had our generations that were like not 2 years older than us sitting with us, and having the conversations. We need you. We respect you. We love you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
always.
You so much.
Always.
I love you all. I
yes.
really do. And I'm so humbled and so joyful to be here with you. Thank you for having me. I just love it.
Thank you.
Never hesitate to call or ask me to come back.
I'll be calling you tonight. I linger around your inbox, so don't worry about it. You'll be hearing from me soon.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. I love it.
Ladies, go celebrate yourself, and just go celebrate today, because
Yes. Celebrate us. We're the reason why. We're really part of the big reason why Joe Biden is there. Black women helped push that, because remember, he was dead in the water. If it weren't for us, we need to big ourselves up. We have been the foundation. This country was nurtured and grew on the breast of a Black woman.
Ooh, say that one more time, please.
Period.
Yes.
It is true. It is true.
This country was nurtured and it's grown on the breast of the Black woman.
Facts.
The backbone of the Black woman since we got here. Remember, their babies were nursed by Black women too and raised.
Facts.
First of all, do you give? Would you allow your baby to suckle on a tainted cow? Like, if you thought that some person or something was lesser than, would you feed your baby that milk, or would you give your baby the milk of the most pristine, the bestest milk that you could imagine having? You have a white cow, you have a black cow, and you want your baby to suckle on the black cow. What does that say? I'm just saying, not that I'm comparing people to cows.
When you look down, even now when you see them.
Right, but listen, it's not what they say, it's what they do that you have to watch. The power of the language, what they said about us, but how they try to be like us. It's not what they say, it's what they do that we have to pay attention to. Because what they say is always a lie. They always sell us the lie about ourselves. But what do they do? What do they do?
Yeah. Their most precious part of them, who took care of them then and now. When you walk around the streets of New York City in the strollers, when you go to their house, who do you see? Who do you see with them?
Still doing it.
Who do you see?
So what I wanna do and what I'm segueing to, because I am the segue person, right?
Right, because we'll be on here.
Yes, forever. Because there's so much to talk about, and we'll keep.
Oh God, yeah.
Let's see where we are in a week or two, and we'll come back. We'll get the same. I'll try to get the same panel together. We'll see what we can do. We'll all come back and we'll talk about it some more. But I really, really don't want this moment, this monumental moment of having the first female and the first Black female Vice President of the United States.
United States of America.
We have to celebrate this moment.
Yes.
This is.
Oh yeah, when I leave y'all, I am going up to Howard University with my pearls and my chucks on and dance around that AKA tree with my mask on now and celebrate. Because remember, this woman now is one step away. And again, I go back to what I just said. The Black woman, country nurtured on the breast of the, and who pushed the vote? Black women again. That's our power. We've been marginalized and beaten and berated and raped and victimized. But again, who's the champion pushing this positivity forward? Black women. And they don't allow us to celebrate it.
Who's going to prosecute the president? The Black woman.
Who's going to do what? Say that again.
Who's going to prosecute the president? A Black woman.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
A Black woman. Yes, Miss Jane, New York. Who's going to do that?
Right.
Yes.
That's right. The only one powerful the only one with the balls. Let's just say it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All
and now it's time not to bite our tongues. What you say, not being afraid to speak it. We don't have to be that anymore. Forget about this word about white folk feelings and stepping on eggshells, because they don't care. So we have to get to the point of not caring. Mm-hmm. It's all, no holds barred now. Forget about all those restraints because they don't care. This is about the life of this country now.
Yes. Yes. And
forget
we know
all the pity patting.
We know our magic. We know our magic. We know we're not angry. We know we got
absolutely.
And if we are angry, we got every reason in the world to be, because we've sat in this mess for so long.
Absolutely.
At this point, anybody going out in these streets today, please, please, please be hyper vigilant, because there are a lot of angry people that did not like what went on here today. I'm going to say, if you go out and celebrate and you dance around your tree, Wanda T, make sure you dance and sing to your heart's content, and be very careful while watching the same time, because there's an energy.
Right, but trust me, they ain't coming up on Howard University's campus. It ain't happening. I ain't worried about the fools coming up there. I'm not worried. I feel safe in that place. But I'm a dance because of Fannie Lou Hamer. I'm a dance because of Sojourner. I'm a dance because of Harriet. There's so many I'm a dance for. Shirley Chisholm, I'm a dance for Miss Shirley. I'm a dance for Coretta Scott King, for Betty Shabazz. I'm dancing for all of them. It's so many that I can't even name, but I'm up there twirling and dancing for Miss Clifford, who had to go through that BS down in Florida and everything she saw coming through at her time period. For my mama, who's the same age as you, with all the segregation and BS she had to deal with sitting on the back of the bus. For my grandmama, who just left here on October the 6th down in Southern Maryland. For my father, both of my grandfathers, for my great-grandfather who fought in every war for this daggone country, who were threatened to be hanged and spit upon for fighting for freedom in the foreign country and not being free at home. I'm gonna go dance for them. I'm dancing.
Do it.
Dance.
Do
From
it.
Mary McLeod Bethune, dance.
That's it.
Dance.
And Wanda, you are Black girl magic.
Yes.
Facts.
As
we all are. The fact that you all are having this radio show every weekend.
Thank you.
You know, for Miss Clifford singing us happy when we're sad. You know, we get up and dance.
You know, that's right.
Whoo, thank you.
Yeah.
And with that, let me introduce you all to the first female, Black female, the first female, period, Vice President of the United States of America. Everybody have a safe weekend.
A barrier-breaking prosecutor with a love for grilling,
question, I will repeat,
roasting, and music.
Nation under a groove, getting down.
California Senator Kamala Harris has joined the race for the White House.
I am running for president of the United States, and I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited about it.
So who is she? Harris has a history of being the first.
Maybe the first to do many things, but make sure you're not the last.
In 2010, she was the first woman and person of African and South Asian descent to become California's Attorney General.
I decided to become a prosecutor because I believed that there were vulnerable and voiceless people who deserved to have a voice in that system.
And in 2016, she became the first Black senator from California.
So my question to you.
Harris serves on 4 Senate committees and is perhaps best known for her tough questions.
It makes me nervous.
Is that a no? Is that a yes?
Could I get to respond, please, ma'am?
No, sir. No.
She's moved to the left in recent years, but her political message remains broad, stressing unity and togetherness.
We are all in this together.
She has defended immigrants' rights, as well as public schools and Medicare for all. But her signature issue is criminal justice reform.
Crime is not a monolith. We cannot have a one-size-fits-all approach to criminal justice policy.
Critics on her left have called her record into question, arguing that she failed to embrace progressive reforms during her tenure as district attorney and California's attorney general. So what's her dynamic with President Trump? Harris has voted against more Trump administration nominees than most of her peers. She has called Trump's border wall
his vanity project
and the government shutdown
crisis of leadership.
For now, Trump has said little about her. So what are her chances? Political strategists believe Harris may be better positioned to build coalitions than some of her party rivals. A recent poll gave her an overwhelmingly favorable rating among Democrats. But as a relative newcomer to national politics, many voters may be waiting to hear more from Harris before making up their minds.
Hi, everybody. You're in the basement with JaVonne and Terez. This is Melba Moore.
Still in the basement, no longer alone, with my homegirl Terez on the microphone. Music, politics, or just chatting it up. Brunch in the basement, see that's what's up. You never know who might run through. Legendary artist or someone brand new. You miss a lot when you miss one day. At least that's what I heard somebody say. But it doesn't really matter what whoever says. It's always a good show with JaVonne and Terez. Yeah. Brunch in the basement with JaVonne and Terez. Yeah. Let's see who we got today. Come on, everybody's a friend in my head. I already know everybody. Whatever it is, it's gonna be good. One day I'll tell you about me and Shaka Khan, but you know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but she doesn't know anything about it. But anyway. No, she doesn't. She wasn't even there actually. But anyway,
all our bosses though, Jay. Like she's got our ears and
I'm gonna send y'all some perfume. I'll definitely get an address. I'll send y'all out.
You can send me some cologne, because I mean,
cologne,
you know,
like cologne?
yeah.
I will
Just
do
in
that.
case I should meet Shaka Khan, I want to smell really, you know, nice.
Oh God.
Okie dokie, babe. Whatever you say.
The time, so
and we thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you. This part, that little piece, I'm just gonna keep and play it all the time for myself. But no, I'm just teasing.
I gotta say